Welcome, everyone, to our Real Insight YouTube channel. As always, we're here with another exciting recap. Today, we're diving into one of the most intense crime thriller series ever made, Mouse, a Korean drama that has kept audiences on the edge of their seats. So, in the first episode, which I already explained last time, we saw that a terrifying serial killer was on the loose. He was brutally murdering people, but the police had no leads whatsoever. But in a shocking turn of events, when this serial killer attempted to wipe out an entire family, a small child named Kumuchi survived. Through a crucial clue, the police were finally able to track down the killer's true identity. And guess what? It was none other than Dr. Han, a renowned neurosurgeon. Now, when Dr. Han was arrested, his wife, Kim, who was pregnant at the time, received shocking news. Professor Lee conducted a DNA test on their unborn baby. The results revealed something chilling. Kim's child had the same genetic traits as a psychopath. This meant that her baby was highly likely to grow up into a serial killer, just like Dr. Han. However, there was still one present possibility: the baby could grow up to be completely normal. Faced with this devastating truth, Kim had a tough decision to make. But in the end, she made up her mind. No matter what, she was going to keep her baby. So, if you haven't watched the first episode of this series yet, don't worry. I've added a card at the top, and you can also find the link to that video in the description below. Now, in today's episode, we learn something shocking. Even though Dr. Han was arrested, 25 years later, an even more brutal serial killer has appeared, ruthlessly taking lives again. But before we dive into this thrilling second episode, let me remind you, if you still haven't subscribed to our Real Insight channel, go ahead and hit that red button below. And don't forget to click the bell icon next to it so you won't miss any of our updates. Alright then, let's jump right into today's episode and find out what happens next in this incredible series. In the previous episode, we saw Professor Lee discovering that Kim's unborn child carried the psychopathic gene. And after that, Professor Lee handed over a certain document to someone. But at this point, the series doesn't clearly reveal what was in that document or who received it. If you keep watching, you'll eventually figure it out. Then, we're shown a scene that you might remember. There was a boy named Jaein who watched a snake devour a mouse with a disturbing level of excitement. After that, Jaein killed his pet dog at home, which led to a huge problem. And after this incident, the series takes a dark turn. Jaein is now shown having murdered both his mother and father. The police arrest Jaein as the prime suspect, but what happens next? They make him undergo a lie detector test to determine if he's telling the truth. However, the police find no solid evidence against him. The shocking part? Psychopaths like Jaein can easily manipulate lie detector tests, and that's exactly what he does. He passes the test without any issues. Now, 25 years later, another ruthless serial killer emerges. At this point in the series, we see that this killer has already brutally murdered a gym coach named Mujin, and that's not all. He also attacks and kills a woman who was simply walking down the street. But here's the biggest revelation: this new serial killer is none other than Jaein himself. The same boy who killed his own parents has now returned, but this time with a new identity. And what's even more mysterious, the series doesn't reveal his face yet. So who exactly is this terrifying serial killer? Keep watching the series and you'll slowly start to uncover the truth. Next, we are shown a very important scene. You might remember that 25 years ago, it was Dr. Han who was revealed as the infamous serial killer known as Headhunter, and the one who exposed him was none other than Kumuchi, the little boy who survived. But now, Kumuchi is no longer a child. He has grown up to become a detective. In this moment, we see him chasing after a serial killer who had been targeting women. The chase leads to a tall building, and just when Kumuchi gets close, the killer jumps off the building, taking his own life right in front of Kumuchi. Now, even though Kumuchi is a brilliant detective, he has a habit of drinking alcohol while on duty. At this point in the story, the police discover the dead body of the gym coach Mujin, the same man who was brutally murdered earlier. Along with Mujin's body, they also find the body of the woman who was killed. The police strongly believe that both murders were committed by the same person. Kumuchi arrives at the crime scene to examine the woman's body, but once again, he is drunk. However, deep inside, he is convinced this is the work of a serial killer who has returned after many years. Next, we see Kumuchi visiting Dr. Han, who is currently in prison and has already been sentenced to death. During their conversation, Kumuchi tells him something shocking. One day, your child will die right in front of your eyes. Hearing this, Han assumes that his wife, Kim, must have killed their unborn child long ago. But then we are shown a flashback from 25 years ago, right after Han was arrested. Kim came to visit him in prison. And during that visit, Kim told him something terrifying. After the child was born, I killed it with my own hands. But now, in the present timeline, Kumuchi reveals a shocking truth: Han's child is still alive. At this moment, Kumuchi suddenly recalls a painful memory. You might remember that when headhunter Dr. Han attacked Kumuchi's family, he not only murdered Kumuchi's parents, but also brutally attacked his older brother. The injuries were so severe that his brother had to undergo multiple surgeries for years just to survive. But there was a problem: Kumuchi didn't have enough money to cover the expensive medical treatments. So what did he do? He went to meet Kim and asked her for money. After all, it was her husband. And it was during this moment when a young Kumuchi went to see Kim that he made a shocking discovery. He saw Kim living with her son. Yes, the same child she had claimed to have killed was actually alive. And that's exactly why Kumuchi tells Han one day, I will kill you right in front of your own son. Right after this, we see a young woman named Choi coming to meet Kumuchi. Choi is a reporter who works for a TV channel, specifically on crime investigation programs. That's why she's trying to stay on Kumuchi's good side, because she wants inside information on the case. But Kumuchi isn't interested at all. He doesn't want Choi snooping around and asking questions about the ongoing investigation. However, Choi has something that puts Kumuchi in a difficult position to photograph. In that photo, Kumuchi is completely drunk, gambling at a casino with some people. And if that photo were to end up in the wrong hands, it could cause him big trouble. Because of this, Kumuchi has no choice but to give Choi some details about the murder cases. After this, Kumuchi takes Choi with him. Remember at the beginning of the episode when the brutal serial killer murdered a woman? Her name was Kesu. Now, 100 meters away from where Kesu's body was found, Kumuchi discovers some blood-stained rice grains. This leads him to a conclusion: Kesu was walking through this area when suddenly the serial killer attacked her. And why does he believe that? Because when Kesu's body was found, she was still holding a packet of rice, which had spilled onto the ground. But now there's a big question: if the murder happened here, then why was Kesu's body found 100 meters away? At this moment, Choi asks, so did Kesu somehow manage to escape after getting attacked? But Kumuchi immediately says, no, that's not what happened. Kumuchi then shows a photograph of Kesu's body. She was wearing a jacket, and on the back of that jacket, there were several scratch marks. This proves one thing: the killer just killed Kesu at this spot. After murdering her, he dragged her body 100 meters away and left it there. But why would the killer move the body? Choi asks this exact question, and once again, Kumuchi has an answer. He takes Choi to the exact location where Kesu's body was found. And here, Kumuchi points out something shocking: Kesu's middle finger was broken in a very unusual way. It was bent perfectly straight, pointing directly toward a cross that was nearby. This makes one thing very clear: this murder wasn't random. The killer intentionally broke Kesu's finger to point towards the cross. This is the work of a brutal serial killer. After this, Kumuchi takes Choi with him once again. Do you remember the gym coach Mujin, who was found burned to death? Now, when they go back to where Mujin's body was discovered, they notice something suspicious. There are scratch marks underneath the ashes. What does this mean? It means Mujin's chair was moved. He wasn't originally burned in that exact spot. The killer dragged him to the chair before setting him on fire. And even more terrifying, Mujin's middle finger was also broken in the exact same way as Kesu's. His finger was pointing towards a cross. At this moment, Kumuchi confirms the terrifying truth: the same serial killer murdered both victims. And there's one more shocking revelation. Do you remember Zoe, the young girl who was killed by Headhunter years ago in episode 1? The same Headhunter who is actually Dr. Han? Well, the truth is Zoe wasn't just any ordinary victim. She was actually Mujin's older sister. Before Zoe died, she gave something to her little brother Mujin. A pair of boxing gloves, and Mujin protected those gloves like his life depended on it. But now, those gloves have disappeared. And that's not the only problem. We all know Zoe was murdered by Headhunter, who is none other than Dr. Han. But now, Mujin has been murdered by a different serial killer. Because right now, Dr. Han is in prison. This is where Kumuchi comes to a shocking realization: there is some kind of connection between Headhunter Dr. Han and this new brutal serial killer. And that's not all. Kumuchi finds one more clue at the crime scene: a Bible. But this Bible wasn't just left there randomly. It was placed upside down between other books. This makes Kumuchi believe one thing: the serial killer wanted the police to find this Bible. When Kumuchi picks it up and looks inside, he finds something even more disturbing. On one of the pages, there are bloodstains from Mujin. Which means, before Mujin died, this serial killer forced him to read a passage from this Bible. And what does the passage say? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a verse about revenge. This means one thing: this brutal serial killer is on some kind of revenge mission. And not just that, he also has a deep hatred toward God. Because think about it, both victims had their fingers broken and twisted to point toward a cross. After connecting all the dots, Kumuchi explains everything to Choi, and finally, before ending the conversation, he asks Choi a very important question. Did you find any information about Dr. Han's son? The moment she hears this, Choi's expression completely changes. It's almost as if she already knows something, or maybe she doesn't know anything at all. Either way, this question leaves us with a mystery. Could Choi already have information about Dr. Han's son? Or will we only find out the truth as the series continues? We'll have to wait and see. Another important character makes an entrance in this series: a police officer named Baram. While Kumuchi is driving, Baram suddenly jumps into the road. Why? Because there was a small baby bird on the road, and Baram wanted to save its life. That's the kind of person Baram is, a police officer, but a foolishly innocent one. Kumuchi gets really angry at him for jumping in front of the car like that. Baram, looking completely guilty, apologizes to Kumuchi right away. Then the story shifts. We see Baram with his two fellow officers Cheekuk and Donkin. They are planning a special event for prisoners inside a correctional facility. And guess which prison they chose? The one where Dr. Han is imprisoned. Baram is preparing a magic show for the prisoners, so he and Cheekuk are carrying a huge magic box into the prison. While walking, Baram notices something. Among the prisoners, Dr. Han is there. And the moment Baram sees him, he feels a deep fear. Then the magic show begins. Baram brings out the big magic box and asks one prisoner to step inside. The trick? To put the prisoner inside, spin the box around, and then make them disappear. But something goes terribly wrong. Baram spins the box, opens the door, and everyone freezes. Inside the box, they find Cheekuk. But he's not okay. He's lying there without his clothes, brutally beaten, and stabbed multiple times. Everyone in the room is horrified, and Baram, seeing his own friend like this, is terrified. A doctor rushes in and tells them to get Cheekuk to the hospital immediately. But at that moment, Dr. Han steps forward. You remember Dr. Han, right? The infamous serial killer. And he's also a highly skilled surgeon. Dr. Han tries to save Cheekuk's life. But Baram doesn't trust him. How could he? How could he let a ruthless murderer operate on his dying friend? But suddenly, another person speaks up. Someone who knows Dr. Han very well. Vaughn, you remember Vaughn, don't you? He's Kumuchi's brother, the same brother who was brutally attacked by Headhunter and left paralyzed. Vaughn hates Dr. Han because he knows Dr. Han killed their parents and ruined his life. But even after all that, Vaughn gives permission. He tells Dr. Han to save Cheekuk. Dr. Han immediately begins surgery trying to stop Cheekuk's severe bleeding. And then they notice something shocking. One of Cheekuk's fingers has been completely cut off. Now, one thing is clear. Whoever attacked Cheekuk might be the brutal serial killer. But who? Is it really the same killer? We don't know yet. The mystery continues. Cheekuk is rushed to the hospital, and at that hospital, someone else is there. Mujin's mother, you remember her, right? She's the mother of Mujin, the boy who was murdered by the serial killer. Years ago, she also lost her daughter Zoe, and who killed Zoe? Headhunter. Her entire family was taken away from him. And because of that pain, she tried to take her own life. Now she sits in the hospital, crying uncontrollably. She doesn't even want to live anymore. But then, another very important character appears. He is Dr. Sanyohan. Dr. Sanyohan arrives, and the first thing he says to Mujin's mother is, "If you really want to die, just trying isn't enough. At least cut your artery to centimeters deep." Baram hears this from the side and is shocked. He can't believe a doctor would say something like that. Baram tries to interrupt, telling Dr. Sanyohan not to say such things. But before he can do anything, Donko arrives, and Donko is furious. How dare this doctor say something so cruel to a grieving mother? In his anger, Donko charges at Dr. Sanyohan, ready to attack him. But then, Dr. Sanyohan looks directly into Donko's eyes. His face, completely calm. There is no fear, no emotion. And in that moment, Donko hesitates. The way Dr. Sanyohan looks at him, it's terrifying. And just like that, Donko stops. Meanwhile, Cheekuk's condition is critical. He needs immediate surgery. And the one who steps in to perform the operation, Dr. Sanyohan. Dr. Sanyohan and his medical team manage to save Cheekuk's life. But just barely, Cheekuk is still in danger. At the same time, we see Kumuchi driving with Choi, discussing everything that's happened. And Kumuchi has come to a realization. He tells Choi, whoever this serial killer is, they must know the human body extremely well. Why? Because before Mujin died, the killer targeted specific pain points. Even his cartilage was loosened. Not only that, Kumuchi says, this serial killer isn't just skilled, they're extremely intelligent. As Kumuchi explains his theory, the scene cuts to Dr. Sanyohan. And suddenly, everything starts to make sense. The description Kumuchi is giving, it perfectly matches Dr. Sanyohan. Now, the question is he really the killer? Or is there something more to the story? We'll have to wait and see. The surgery is finally over. The doctors step outside and announce, before we brought Cheekuk to the hospital, someone had already stitched his wounds to stop the bleeding. That's the only reason we were able to save him. And the moment those words are spoken, Dr. Sanyohan's expression changes. Something about this bothers him. And now, we are introduced to another important character in this series. So far, throughout episode 1 and episode 2, we've only seen a few key figures. That's why I keep saying, here comes another major character. And now, we finally see her, Bom-ie, a young girl part of a local gang. Bom-ie's parents are no longer alive. She lives with her grandmother. At this moment, we see Bom-ie walking out of her classroom. She's skipping class, but just then, It starts raining heavily. Bom-ie tries to call her grandmother, but her grandmother doesn't answer the phone. Now, as Bom-ie walks alone, she suddenly stops at a place. It's a bridge, and Bom-ie, she doesn't want to cross it. There's a reason, a big reason. When Bom-ie was just a little girl, a murderer killed both her parents. And that murder, it happened right near a bridge. On a night just like this, a rainy night. That's why, ever since that day, Bom-ie can't bring herself to cross a bridge in the rain. So right now, she sits down near the bridge and starts crying, but then Baram arrives. Baram is one of Bom-ie's closest friends. He lives near her house and has always looked out for her. Baram tries to comfort Bom-ie, and right at that moment, Bom-ie's grandmother arrives too. So now all three of them head home together. When they reach Bom-ie's house, Baram gets ready to leave. But just then, Bom-ie's grandmother stops him. She looks at him and says, "You're completely drenched and you probably haven't even eaten yet. Come inside, get cleaned up, eat with us." So Baram stays. After freshening up, Bom-ie's grandmother even gives Baram some of Bom-ie's clothes to wear, because Baram likes Bom-ie a lot. But that's not all. Bom-ie's grandmother is trying to set them up. She really wants Bom-ie to marry Baram because Baram is a good guy. He's kind, hardworking, and has a stable job. But Bom-ie, she's not interested, not even a little. And now, meanwhile, the police make a shocking discovery. They find another victim murdered by the brutal serial killer, according to their findings. The victim had already been dead for about 15 days this time. The one who was killed was a 50-year-old homeless man, and the most disturbing part, one of his fingers was broken and twisted in the direction of a cross. At the same time, we see the brutal serial killer in action. A woman is jogging at night, and behind her, the killer follows. He's getting ready. He's planning to kill her, but just then, the police make another bizarre discovery. A dead cat, but this wasn't just a dead cat. The killer had pulled out all of its teeth while it was still alive. Now, Baram and a few other police officers arrive at the scene. They find the cat's body, and the moment Baram sees it, he feels sick to his stomach. He even starts gagging. The other officers get annoyed and scold him. "If you can't even handle a dead cat, how the hell are you a police officer?" Now, you might be wondering, why is this scene even shown? Why focus on a dead cat when the real serial killer is out there murdering people? Just keep watching, it'll all start to make sense. And just then, the police find another body. It's the woman who was jogging earlier. That's right, the serial killer got to her. And now she's dead too. Kumuchi arrives at the crime scene, and when he sees it, he's shocked because this time, something is different from the very beginning of this episode. Every single victim that the serial killer has murdered had something placed near their body. Remember Mujin, the gym coach who was murdered? His gloves were burned and left near his body, and now, those same gloves are placed in this dead woman's hand. And that's not all. Remember Kenzo? Another female victim? She was killed while holding a burnt food packet, and now, the ring that Kenzo was wearing is now placed in this dead woman's hand, and there's more. Remember the 50-year-old homeless man? When the police first found his body, he was missing a shoe, and now, that missing shoe is placed near this woman's leg. But the most shocking discovery, the woman who was murdered, she's wearing a watch, but not just any watch. It belongs to Cheekuk, the same guy who was performing a magic show inside a prison. During that performance, he ended up injuring his best friend, and now, his watch is on this dead woman's hand. After seeing all this, Kumuchi finally understands. The serial killer is leaving a message. A big one he wants the police to notice. And I'm sure by now, you've figured it out. This serial killer, he's behind every single one of these murders. and he's making sure the police get the message, that's why. He keeps leaving something from a previous victim near the new one, but then, Kumuchi notices something else. Something strange in every other crime scene. There was always a cross nearby, but this time, there is no cross. Instead, Kumuchi sees something chilling. The dead woman's middle finger is pressed against her lips, as if she's telling someone to be quiet. Kumuchi leans closer and then he sees it. Inside the woman's mouth, there's a cross. The killer left it inside her mouth. And that's not all. Kumuchi looks up, and right above the crime scene, on the roof of a nearby building, there's a message. A message left by the serial killer himself. The message says, "So you finally figured it out? Huh, Kumuchi, I prepared this gift just for you. How do you like it?" And now it's clear. This brutal serial killer is challenging Kumuchi directly. And now, meanwhile, do you remember the mysterious doctor? Yeah, Dr. Sanyohan. Someone comes looking for him, they tell him, "There's someone waiting to meet you." So Dr. Sanyohan leaves, and where does he go? To a prison. And inside that prison, waiting for him, is none other than Dr. Han at that moment. Dr. Han looks at Sanyohan and says, "I've been waiting for this moment. I always wanted to see what kind of man my son would become, and now it all makes sense. Dr. Sanyohan is actually Dr. Han's son," and just like that, this is how episode 2 of Mouse comes to an end. Now, I know the story might still feel a bit unclear, but that's expected because we've only seen 2 episodes so far. This series is still building its foundation, but trust me, as the story unfolds, everything will start to make sense. So let's keep watching and see what crazy twists are waiting for us next. And before we wrap up, one last reminder, if you haven't subscribed to our Real Insight YouTube channel yet, go ahead and hit that red button right now, and don't forget, click the bell icon right next to it so you don't miss a thing. That way, the moment we drop the next episode recap, you'll be the first to watch it. And finally, tell us in the comments, what did you think about this episode? Let's talk about it below. See you soon in the next episode.